Yo, what's up, guys? Today we're here to talk about probably everyone's least favorite thing in shooting, dry fire. It's definitely not fun, but if you are serious about shooting, whether that be competition, concealed carry, or just home defense, dry fire is an essential thing. It's the best because it's free, and a lot of the times, honestly, you can see what's going on a lot better with the things like the sights, especially without the explosion going off in front of your face. You can honestly see what the gun's doing better in dry fire. I say it's everyone's least favorite thing because it's actually work and it's not just going out and buying the newest, coolest stuff. But this, like I said, is for anyone that's serious about shooting, again, whether that's competitions, concealed carry, home defense, whatever it may be. This is a free way to actually build your skills and make you a competent shooter. All right, so a couple things you'll need. Let's start with these. These are some sort of point of reference or something to aim at, and it doesn't have to be as fancy as these targets I got here. Different sizes and difficulties, whether that be something like a tuxedo or partials with a no shoot. I actually, for anyone that hits me up on Instagram, I got a couple PDF files of these with different sizes, shapes, and all kinds of stuff. So if you want some of these, just hit me up on Instagram and I'll send you the free thing. You can print them out and use them at home. But again, you don't always need something fancy like this. You can use something as simple as, like, when I'm traveling, I like to use pasters, and I just use these to mark a small specific spot on any wall. So again, it's just a point of reference or something to aim at. And sometimes I like to compare, or not compare, but to utilize these both together. So I'll take a paster, and for this tiny one, I actually obviously have to trim it, but I like to put a paster in the A zone, in the center of the A zone, to give me an even smaller, refined aiming point. So something like that. I would suggest also some sort of way to weight your gun, whether that be, something like these you can buy at Cabela's or Sportsman's or online or Dunham's, whatever. These snap caps. These honestly aren't my favorite because they definitely don't simulate a real weight at all. You can use something like these, though. These are actually, it looks like a real round, but I actually painted the tops of them white, so I know. And all these are training dummy rounds. They have no primer or powder in them, so these won't go off. These are safe. And I keep a mag of these loaded. There's definitely other ways to weight these. Like, I would probably recommend the John Vlieger, the new Dryfire training weight. That seems like a better option than something like this. Mainly because when you're using the dummy rounds in a normal magazine, when you are working reloads, as soon as these hit the ground, they tend to explode and rounds are everywhere. It's super annoying, inconvenient. In the gun, I have one of these, the Double Alpha Dryfire training magazine. These I don't recommend just because they don't last very long, but that's a separate video. So I think that's everything that I would say you need. You don't necessarily even need a belt and a holster set up. You can dry fire without this. If you only got a couple minutes and you just want to work on presentations or whatever, honestly don't even need to throw the belt, rig, holster, any of that stuff on. Just grab the gun and work that. So now that we went over the few things you need or could use to make it better, or the process better, I should say, let's talk about the first drill. And the first drill I think you should work on is just a simple draw. And what you're trying to do is focus on building a good index. So you want the same index every time. You want to draw this gun and know that when you point it, the dot is going to be in the center of the window and it's going to land on exactly what you're looking at. The second thing you want to look for is a consistent grip. You don't want to draw out of the holster and you're fumbling around. And you don't want to, also going back to the index, you don't want to be fishing for the red dot or sights, whatever you're shooting. Those are the main two things you're looking for in this. And again, it's as simple as marking some sort of small spot. You can even use something in the house, like a light switch or whatever it is. Just simply draw. Like I said, you're looking to make sure your dots or your sights landing on where you're pointing, and you got a good, consistent grip. So with this, you don't necessarily need to be the fastest, in my opinion, because most of the time this isn't a static thing. You're trying not to draw and stand there and shoot. Most of the time you're gonna draw, take a step, something like that. So again, I don't necessarily work the draw down to as fast as I possibly can. Same thing with reloads. I think there's a lot more beneficial things you could be practicing to save time on. This is where I would start for new people. Again, you just want to work the draw, get the basics down, and again, you don't want to have the slowest draw. You don't want to come out of the holster all lackadaisical and just slow for no reason. You want to get the hand speed up, draw it, and get it out. But again, you don't want to be overly fast to where the gun is, you're getting a shitty grip or you're dropping the gun. Definitely not beneficial. All right, so the second drill I like to work on is once you're getting the gun out of the holster and you're building that consistent grip, you want to keep that grip all the way through the string of fire. So the way I work that is, again, I'll mark a small spot. It could be, you should start out 5 yards or simulate 5 yards, so make the target smaller. And what I like to do, and I'll do an overlay so you guys can see this, you don't even have to start out of the holster. You can literally just start with pointing the gun at that small spot, and all I like to do is just bang on the trigger pretty hard. I mean, harder than what it would normally take to pull through the brake. And I like to use, honestly, just a traditional paster for this. I like to put the gun on that, or put the red dot or the sight, whatever you're using, hold it on there, and then you want to be able to just pull through the trigger without any movement. You're trying to keep that dot or sight on that target, and if you can't hold either of your sights on that from 5-ish yards, you got some things to work on. Whether that be pressures or however you're holding it, that's up for you to decide and figure out. There is no perfect grip. Everyone's hands are different and things like that. So like I said, that's for you to figure out. Once you can do that, obviously take that to live fire and practice it there. So another thing you can do while you're working this grip drill, trigger control at speed. And all that is holding the sights on that spot you're looking at. And then I forgot to mention this too. You should probably get a timer. That will definitely help you out. But all that is you're setting a par time and then a random par, and then hold that sight on that on whatever spot you're looking at. Do the par, and then as soon as it beeps, you just want to pull through the trigger. And again, you don't want the sights to lift or leave from that spot. So we can do that again. What that looks like is simply, and when you're pulling through this, your finger is not resting on the trigger. You want to be off the trigger, and you want to pull all the way through it. So what that looks like is something like this. That was honestly a bad one for me. All you're looking for is, like I said, when you're holding this gun out here, you don't want it to be doing anything like this. Driving it down, left, right. You don't want any deviation in the sights. So that's all you're looking for in that. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about, and where honestly I think a lot of people can save a ton of time, and I think where most time is saved, is transitions. But to work transitions, you just want to have a few spots picked out. Again, you can use targets, pasters, light switches, whatever you got in the house. And all you're doing, and again, you don't even have to have the belt on to do any of this stuff, other than the draw, obviously. But what you're looking for is you want to, start on one, and then you're a simple transition from target to target. And what you're looking for in this is you want to be, the eyes are leading the gun, first of all. Second of all, you want to make sure you're picking individual spots on the target. You're trying to not look at the whole target itself, and that's why I use, like I said, pasters in targets. And I'll do an overlay here and show you kind of the target array I use, but it could be anything. Anyway, so like I said, what you're looking for is you want to pick individual spots, and then you can fire 1 round, 2 round, whatever you're doing. You don't even need to pull the trigger, honestly, at this, but you can, fire, eyes move, next target, eyes move, eyes move, eyes move, and target to target, and so on and so forth. Here you're looking for, you want to make sure, like I said, the eyes are leading the gun. You don't want to be looking through the optic, moving the gun. That's going to lead to over transitioning or under transitioning. So again, you want to, if it's a wide transition, I'll emphasize it kind of great here, but eyes, gun, spot to spot. So that's what you're looking for. Transitions, I think, are where people can save a ton of time because you're doing that a lot in the match. There's a ton of targets. That's why I said working the draw down in the reloads isn't the most beneficial in my opinion. Working something like this is more important. And then another thing you can do, so we'll call it like 3B. The way I'll like spice this one up is I'll add movement into this, you know. So I'll draw, you can take a step, transition, move, transition, throw a reload, whatever you want to do. That's why I like this drill, and I'll call it 3B again, because you can add all kinds of this, all kinds of stuff to this, you know, forward movement, lateral movement, backing out, whatever you want to do. You can add a ton of stuff to this. So I kind of wanted to go through this quick, make it short and simple. I didn't want to have like an overly drawn out video. If you got any specific questions, leave a comment or DM me and I can help you out. Again, I'm not a pro by any means, but I've watched a ton of videos and I've learned a lot through guys like Mason Lane, Ben Stoger, all those dudes that put out a ton of free videos. I watched a lot of them. So hopefully me watching that and the things I've learned in practice in the last couple of years can help you guys out. Another thing, Dryfire is more quality over quantity in my opinion. You don't need to spend 3 hours dry firing because honestly, if you're dry firing right, your arms are going to be absolutely cooked. For me, I dry fire for about 15 minutes and in between all the drills I do, the couple I showed you, I'm always double checking to make sure my grip is really locked in and then I'm crushing that gun. So again, that's why for me personally, after about 15 minutes, my arms are smoked and I can barely hold on to the gun. If you're not really holding on to the gun, when you go out and do live fire, it's just not going to translate very well. Also, again, I want to re-emphasize probably for the second or third time, you don't need the fanciest equipment for this. And again, you don't always even need to fully gear up, you know, whatever your setup is. You can simply pick up the gun, point it, you know, again, work on that grip, the trigger control at speed. You know, you can work that without a holster pretty easily. Even transitions, you can throw in like the designated target, stuff like that. The thing is, like, I just want to make it simple for you guys. Like I said, pick the gun up for, even if it's 5 minutes, you know, like I said, just point, work the transitions, work the trigger, do whatever you got to do. The more you mess around with the gun, and the more you do this, you're going to be way more proficient at shooting. I know it sounds crazy, but again, it's a free thing, and this will dramatically increase your skills. The first year or two I was shooting, I did no dry fire. And about the halfway through the second year, maybe going into the third year, I actually started to take it more serious and dry fire at home. And I grew exponentially, honestly. So let's close this out. Again, I wanted to keep it pretty short and condensed. There's a lot more nuanced things that can go into this, but I don't want to make a 30-minute video on dry fire. Be easier if, honestly, like I said, if you guys got specific questions, leave a comment, DM me, and hopefully I can help you guys. Either way, I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time. Later, guys.